Hey, welcome back, guys. This is lesson 11.2 on chapter 11 on percent calculations using proportions. All right, I'm going to skip 11.1. Chapter 11 is all about percentages. It's a very short chapter because we only have 2 lessons left. So this will be the second to last video that you guys view. Like I said, we're going to skip 11.1, which is the basics of percentages, basically converting between percentages, fractions, and decimals. I don't feel as though you need to go over that because you should be good on that. Okay, so this lesson is all about percent calculations. And our essential question is, how do we determine the part versus the whole when setting up the proportion? Well, what does it mean by part and whole? Okay, well, we'll go down to our notes. There are 2 ways to solve percent problems. One method uses proportions, the other method uses the percent equation. In this lesson, we're going to focus on percent proportion. I think it's the most straightforward way and it's the easiest to solve, and you plug in all your parts and you solve it just like any other proportion. You're going to cross multiply and divide. All right, percent proportion is the part is to whole as percent is to 100. Percent is always based off 100. So this is your percent proportion. It's part over whole equals the percent over 100. And when you solve these kinds of problems, all you're doing basically is plugging the number in the correct spot and then cross multiplying and dividing. Okay, so here are what exactly each part means. All right, the whole is the entire quantity, often appears after the word of. Okay, that's key, that's why it's in bold. Often appears after the word of the entire number of something. So the whole is going to be a number. The part is the portion being compared to the whole. It usually follows the word is, and you'll see what we're talking about when we do the example. So the part is a number, and it's being compared to the whole, right? Part of the whole. And the percent is the ratio of the part to the whole, appears with the word percent, the symbol percent after it, okay? So this is the easiest to identify. All you need to know is that when you see the percent sign, that's the percent number, okay? Simple as that. So in these examples, you're going to set up a percent proportion for each problem, all right? And they give you different things, okay? Some are pretty straightforward, like the first few examples. They tell you literally what's the part, what's the percent, what are they asking for, they're finding the whole. So in every one of these, you're going to have 3 parts you have to fill in. One of them is going to be your unknown, and it's up to you to determine which part is the unknown, okay? So in the first example, example A, they give us the part and they give us the percent number, so they're asking for the whole, okay? So I'm going to write my percent proportion, part over the whole, equals the percent number over 100. 100 always is under the percent number, always. So 100 is going to be in every single one of your proportions. So the part is going to be 12. They give us the part is 12. So when I'm setting my proportion, it's going to be 12 over, well, they don't give us the whole. So the whole is going to be our x, okay? So that's going to be our unknown. That's what we're trying to find. The percent is 16, so that goes where the percent number goes, and the percent number always goes over 100, okay? So you're going to cross multiply and divide, and bear with me 1 second because I'm going to do this problem right now. As I said with all these problems, you can use a calculator, okay? Now, while I'm bringing up my calculator, there's something else called a percent equation. You can use that as well if you're more comfortable with that, and all that is the percent is equal to, the part is equal to the percent number as a decimal times the whole. Okay, let me repeat that. The percent number as a decimal times the whole will give you the part if you want to go percent equation. I think percent proportion is actually easier. Okay, so I'm going to cross multiply 12 times 100, which is 1200, and then divide by 16. So 1200 divided by 16. And I get an answer of 75. So they're asking for the whole, and the whole is 75. So basically what this is saying is, okay, 12 is 16% of 75. Okay? All right, let's jump down to example C. This time they give us the whole, they give us the percent number. What's missing? The part. Okay, so I'm going to set up my proportion. Part over whole, well, part is my unknown, that's my x. The whole is 210. Okay, and then I jump over here to the other side proportion. The percent number is 20, and then the percent number always goes over 100. So your proportion is x over 210 equals 20 over 100, okay? And just like the other problem, cross multiply and divide. So I got 20 let me clear this. 20 times 210. Okay, and then you're going to divide by 100. Okay, enter. Should get 4,200, and then you divide that by 100, and you should get 42. So the part is what we're trying to find, and the part is 42. So what this is saying is 42 is 20% of 210, okay? And you see those word is and of, okay? Now, example E, they don't tell us straightforward what's the whole, what's the part, what's the percent. You have to do a little read between the lines, context clues, okay? We're saying that $150 is 25% of what number, okay? So we want to identify our parts, okay? Our percent proportion. Part over whole equals percent number 100. Well, right off the bat, the percent number is always going to have a percent sign, so we know where that goes. Percent is 25, so 25 goes over 100, okay? Now, the other number we have in our problem is 150. Is that the whole or the part, okay? Now, you realize up here what we said before. The whole is the entire quantity, often appears after the word of. So we're saying of what number? Of the entire number. Makes sense? So that means we're trying to find the whole. The whole is our unknown. The whole is X. So that means X is going to go at bottom, and it's saying that $150 is 25% of what number? So 150 is 25% of which number? So 150 is the part. Okay, so just like before, we're going to cross multiply. 150 times 100 is going to give me 15,000. I'm correct? Yep. 15,000. And then you're going to divide that by 25, and that will give me an answer of 600. Okay, and now because we're talking about dollars, especially when you do word problems, you want to make sure that you label your units. Okay, so 150 is 25% of $600. Okay, all right. One more example on the first page, and then we'll jump to the word problems on the back. Of 900 blood glucose tests, 25% will be completed by Adrian. All right, again, percent problem requires percent proportion. So we know the percent number always goes over 100. That's easy. Now, we have one other number here, 900. Is 900 represent the whole or the part? So it says, of the 900 blood glucose tests, 25% will be completed by Aiden. Okay, so they're asking how many of the tests will be completed by Adrian. Sorry, not Aiden, Adrian, okay? So they're asking for the part, okay? They're saying of those 900 total glucose tests, how many were completed by Adrian? So Adrian's number of tests is the X. That's the part you're trying to find, okay? So you got your percent proportion. X over 900 equals 25 over 100. And I'm going to cross multiply and divide. So 25 times 900. Hit enter. I get 22,500. 22,500. And then divide that by 100. And you get an answer of 225. So when you get an answer, see if it makes sense. All right, 225 tests by Adrian. Okay, that's what we're trying to find. See if it makes sense. Okay, of the 900 blood glucose tests, Adrian did 25% of them. So how many tests did Adrian do? He did 225 tests. Okay, it makes sense because 25 obviously is smaller than 100%, and 225 tests is obviously smaller than 900. All right. Okay, let's go to page 2 of your notes, and we'll jump down to where it says using proportions to solve percent problems. Okay, now we get into word problems. So they're not going to straight up tell you what's the part, what's the whole. This is where you got to read carefully and make sure you put everything in the right spot. Again, we're using percent proportion. So once you have everything set up, it's easy. All right. So if one of the values is unknown, you can find it by solving percent proportion like we did with the previous examples. All right, let's do example A together. All right, I know this is going to be a percent proportion, and I know my part's going to go here. P represents part, W represents whole, and my percent number is going to go up here, and obviously that's going to be over 100. Okay, so now I got to fill in my parts. All right, let's read. There have been 36 cups of coffee served from a banquet-sized coffee pot. If this is 30% capacity of the pot, find the capacity of the pot. All right, right off the bat, I know my percent number is 30%, and that's going to go over 100, okay? So it's saying there have been 36 cups of coffee served from the banquet size coffee pot. They're saying that this 36 represents 30%, okay? So they're basically saying this is the part. 36 is the part, okay? So that's going to go up here. They're saying that 36 is 30% of the whole, okay? They want to know the full capacity of the pot. They want to know the whole capacity of the pot, so that's going to be your x. So your proportion is going to be 36 over x equals 30 over 100, okay? So you do your math. 36 times 100 is 3,600. And then 3,600 divided by 30 would be 120. Make sure. It's a little late in the evening. I just want to make sure I get my math correct. It's probably correct if I were thinking level head, but let's just check it. 120, right. So 120, remember, you're finding out a number, a quantity over on this side. Over here is your percent. 120, and we're talking about cups. If you want to put cups of coffee, you can, but I'm just going to put 120 cups. So the full capacity, if 36 cup represents 30%, the full capacity would be 120 cups go into that pot. All right, answer makes sense. Okay, last example I'm going to do, if you jump down to your notes, example D. All right, a laboratory technician completes 80 tests in one day. If 52 of these tests were completed in the morning, what percent were completed in the morning? All right, right there, you're comparing two things. You're comparing morning to the entire day, right? So obviously the morning is the part, the entire day would be the whole, right? Because morning is part of the day. So they say 80 tests in one day, that would be your whole. And then 52 tests in the morning, they're asking what percent were completed in the morning. So 52 is your morning tests, and they're asking what percent that is. So here we're actually trying to find a percent number. Okay, so our answer, when we label it, our final answer is going to have the percent sign next to it, all right? And again, you cross multiply and divide. 5,200 divided by 80, and we get a solution of 65%, okay? That is our answer. Now, if you get an answer that is over 100%, that can happen, that's okay, okay? Sometimes you do get more than 100%, and that happens when the part is greater than the whole, okay? So if you get a problem where the part's greater than the whole, you're gonna get an answer that's over 100%, okay? All right, that's it for these notes. As far as the examples I'm going to do, you're going to be required to do the rest of these. All right, talk to you soon, guys.